have their own places of worship, and their own school for 1,000 students, discreetly hidden on a suburban side street.
Der Unterricht.
Other than 2 hours of German lessons per week, the education is the same as they would get in Japan. And why is Dusseldorf so important to the Japanese? The answer is simple. More than half of Europe's spending power is within a 300-mile radius of the city. Jerry King, ABC News, Dusseldorf.
When we return, a battle over what children should and should not read when they go to the library. In Wichita, Kansas, a day in court for some of the anti-abortion protesters who have been trying to shut down the local abortion clinics. A federal judge who threatened to throw anyone who blocked the clinic entrance in jail released 4 protesters, including 2 priests. 8 other cases are still pending. The leaders of the protests say they'll continue them through the end of the month. There's another kind of public pressure being applied on many of America's public libraries. Pressure by people who don't like some of the books inside. Here's ABC's Tom Foreman.
Jerry Bigham takes an interest in what her children read. They go to the library regularly, where she encourages them to check out some books and to avoid others.
Things like satanic things, New Age stuff, witchcraft. Some of the ideas that they put forth are so opposed to what we believe as a family.
But increasingly, libraries around the country are being pressured by other parents who not only want to control what their own children read, but also want some books off limits to all children. Books like Huck Finn, which is called racist for its portrayals of blacks, Charlotte's Web, which is called anti-Christian for giving animals supernatural powers. Some books are blasted for promoting the occult, others for fostering sexual awareness. The American Library Association is worried librarians are being pushed into the parenting role.
It is the responsibility of parents or guardians, and only parents or guardians, to guide their children and only their children in appropriate reading material.
To understand the growing power and passion of the movement, you need only talk to Nancy Serwick.
It's time we realize that children are different.
She was elected to the library board in Oak Lawn, Illinois, because she promised to restrict which books children could take out of the library.
Just because a child can read something does not mean that the child can handle it mentally or psychologically or emotionally.
Taxes are the biggest weapon for those who want to limit what children read. They argue if a community pays for a library, the library should be what the community wants.
It ought to reflect the values and views of the community it is in. I don't believe that's censorship. I just believe that's part of the marketplace of ideas.
But children's author Jane Yolen worries about how far this movement may go.
I think when the government starts sticking its nose into our stories, then it's really the end for all of us.
Still, more and more people like Jerry Bigham are being won over to the idea that there must be some sort of restrictions on what kids can read. She does not want to see children's books censored, but then again, she does not want her parental authority to be undermined the minute her child walks through the library door. Tom Foreman, ABC News, Denver.
NASA, the space agency, has begun sending signals up to the Galileo spacecraft 146 million miles away to try to free a stuck antenna. If it fails, the Galileo will only be able to send back a fraction of the information NASA had hoped for when the spacecraft reaches Jupiter in 4 years. We'll have our final report in a moment. Finally tonight, the story of 2 athletes, rookies really, in 2 different sports. Their performances were as pure as they were unexpected. And now their careers and their lives are the stuff of Hollywood legend. Here's Jeff Greenfield.
It is the stuff of packaged dreams. The kid from nowhere with the magic touch.
Poor seasoning, huh? The ball's only going for a 600-foot ride.
It's almost illegal to make a sports movie without the unknown phenom who lights up the skies. And it's not just in sports either. In the Hollywood musical, the star always broke her ankle on opening night, and the game chorus girl stepped in.
You're going out a youngster, but you've got to come back a star.
Such celluloid fantasies fill the hearts and minds on 1,000 sandlot ball fields. But did they ever happen in real life? Well, what about two storybook triumphs on the same day? 21-year-old Wilson Alvarez was making only his second big league start yesterday. For the young man toiling in the obscurity of Double-A minor league ball, it was something of a second and maybe last chance. On his first try at the majors 2 years ago, he faced 5 batters and couldn't get an out. On Sunday, the Baltimore Orioles couldn't get a hit.
21-year-old Wilson Alvarez has just thrown a no-hitter.
My first no-hitter in professional. Yeah, I never think I'm going to do in big leagues.
25-year-old John Daly had never won a major golf tournament. He wasn't even supposed to play in the PGA Championship. He made it in when another golfer's wife went into labor. Daly had to drive 7.5 hours to make it. But after his drives from the tee averaged 303 yards, he took the title yesterday by 3 strokes.
Get it. I won it for y'all and this beautiful woman right here. Couldn't have done it without you.
It was the kind of storybook ending they used to have in storybooks. In those days, the heroes did it for the glory. John Daly won $230,000 for his story. Wilson Alvarez will find his reward in the gleam of his agent's eye as he dreams of commercials yet to come. Tomorrow, the newspapers will tell darker stories. Careers cut short by injury or drugs or the simple loss of skill. But yesterday was a day to do it Hollywood's way, for real. Jeff Greenfield, ABC News, New York.
That's our report on World News Tonight. I'm Sam Donaldson. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.